To some, arm wrestling is a barroom sport. To others, it's a way of life. Every sport has its legends. Arm wrestling is no exception. Growing up, I remember hearing about arm wrestling through a close family friend by the name of Danny Stone. In fact, my earliest arm wrestling memory was when I was 6 years old. My dad took me and my brother to see Danny arm wrestle in a bar. This would be the first and last time I'd get into a bar until recently. Very few people can say they have a close family friend who's a world champion arm wrestler, and that's exactly what Danny was.
Technician, one of the greatest I've ever seen.
Danny was one of the best pullers out there in his day. I mean, very good.
They like his technique, his style he had. They didn't want to fool with him because where he pull you, he'll freak you out. There's Dan Stone here, damn. You know, that kind of attitude, you know.
And deceitful because Danny's not a muscular guy. Danny's kind of, slender arms and stuff, but whew, could take off.
Danny was one that would give it all. I mean, he'd go for it. And I respected that and liked that about him.
Danny Stone was an excellent arm wrestler. Haven't heard Dan Stone name in a lot of years, but he's an excellent arm wrestler and was a good friend also.
Danny Stone was my friend. And I hope still is.
Danny's a good man.
He was just flat out good.
It's not for sissies. It's a tough sport. Use every muscle in your body. You either have to be crazy or love it. I was probably a little of both. Right. A lot of times I would drag my arm around with my thumb in my pants pocket because I couldn't move my arm. It'd be so sore, aching, And it's not a team sport. You hadn't got all these other team members to worry about what they do. You just do it yourself. It's a good one-on-one sport. Best one-on-one sport I think in the world. I'd arm wrestle locally and beat everybody, but didn't have any idea how good I was. I went to California, I think it was probably 1978, 7 or 8. Had the World Arm Wrestling Championships. Guys I saw on TV the year before was there. Big guy, big logger from, I think he was from Portland, Dean Christensen. And I had to arm wrestle him, and I hit him so hard when we took off that my ribs separated. And I couldn't go over anymore. It'd take my breath. So I'd go back to even and try to hold him, and then I'd try to get him down again. And they had a timer on it. It was 4 minutes and 6 seconds when he finally tired out, and I beat him. Which gave me 4th in the world. But when I turned loose of him, my ribs got on my diaphragm, and I hit the floor. And I wasn't able to continue, but that's when I knew I'd be pretty good. When I was beating the guy that, I think he got second that year before in Wide World of Sports. So the guys had heard about me, but they really didn't know me. They said I had string bean arms and didn't know how I could be as good as that I was. I don't know, I had the speed of a smaller guy, and I was in the heavyweight class, which put me in the class with Cleve Dean, he was probably 300 to 400 pounds heavier than myself, so made it kind of tough to arm wrestle a guy that size.
I think that if he could have ever mentally accepted the fact that he was as good as I thought he was, that he'd even been better, because there's a few people beat him that just shouldn't have beat him. Even though they thought they should have, I didn't think they should have. Danny would always give it his all, but sometimes he allowed some of them to intimidate him a little bit because he knew how big they were, how strong they were, and what they had done and stuff like that. But not very many times, very few people.
It's almost impossible to beat a guy like that. He's just so massive, and I didn't beat him many times, but I did beat him a few. And I guess getting that big trophy, and Cleve taking second, which he didn't like. I guess that was probably the best. He smashed his trophy. He don't take second place, he says. So, and at that time he didn't very often have to take a second place, but I just got lucky and beat him that day, and he didn't like it at all. Cleve hated to lose. We all hate to lose, but he really hates to. But he's a good guy, though. I got runner-up in the world in 1979 on Wide World of Sports, which was wrist wrestling, and Cleve Dean beat me. Then in '80, man, I don't remember, it was early '80s, I won 3 world arm wrestling and 6 national arm wrestling titles. The least I would guess what really made me get out of it was some of the guys taking steroids and stuff like that to make them stronger, and I got mine the honest way, and some of these guys would beef up with steroids and stuff, and I just didn't want to compete against that, you know. And I knew it wasn't going to be policed at all, you know. It wasn't going to be tested for steroids, so I just kind of saw the handwriting on the wall, and I guess one of the reasons I quit, I've won world championships, I've won nationals, I've won state, I've won regionals, I've done. The only thing I could have done was more of it, and really I swapped this sport for drag racing. Racing is a love of mine too, and it's hard to do both. It's hard to drag race on Saturday night and arm wrestle on Saturday night, and I always feel better if I race, body-wise, you know. I still like it, and I would still like to do it, but it's so demanding physically. It'd just be kind of hard to get back in it. Just leave me with my racing.
The first tournament that I went to was a national tournament in Atlanta, Georgia, the 2001 AAA Nationals. This would be my first look into the world of professional arm wrestling.
The Nationals for the American Armed Sport Association is the largest event held in the United States. We average 350 competitors. There's a $25 entry fee, plus you have to join the AAA, which with the fee to join, you receive our quarterly magazine. The American Armed Sport Association has been in existence for over 30 years. To date, we have roughly 1,200 to 1,300 members in the United States. We average 50, 55 tournaments a year that are sanctioned through the AAA.
Ready to go! have a little bit more respect for Johnny Walker over here.
Johnny was, he went through a 10-year period without losing a match in an organization in world championship type competition.
Johnny's a bad man. Johnny's a bad man.
As far as the person I most respect, that's it. It'd be Johnny.
I took up arm wrestling around 76 at Six Flags. Up like that. I was beating guys that day that was champions, and I hadn't never seen a table. Didn't know what a table was. Didn't know nothing about technique. Didn't know about no ripping up or nothing. I just beating guys that's brute strength, you know. And that's when the guys from Covington, you know, took me in and started, you know, working out with me, training me. Jack Childs, Boyd Whitfield, David Randall, a bunch of guys I met. And after that first tournament I won in Houston, I mean, it wasn't no stopping me, man. I was all the way, you know. I was on it. And that's what brought me to the point where I got to win 10 world championships and WPAA World Arm Wrestling Championship from out of California. You'd be surprised the people that watch arm wrestling. That if you're in the mall or you're walking down the street or downtown somewhere, they see you. You're an arm wrestling guy, right? And one guy was in the mall, and this one guy was in front of this shop. I think it might have been a shoe store or something. And he seen me coming. I didn't have no arm wrestling shit. I didn't have anything on to identify me that I was arm wrestling. And he just seen my arms. He said, "You the man. You the man." I said, "What, man? What you talking about?" He said, "I seen you on that TV, man. I seen you knock them guys out that arm." He said, "You got the arm. You got them bad guns, man." I said, "Oh yeah, that's okay." And after that, we started talking. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Ain't your name Johnny Walker?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I seen you on that TV, man. You see, so you be taking care of business on that, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I guess I do."
Johnny Walker was really popular, you know, back, you know, he's kind of like back in the one of the older guys. A lot of people knew him because they saw him like out in Petaluma, you know. You ever see that black guy from Georgia? You know him too? You know, people would always ask me that.
At times, my arm I could be in the bed, and my arm would go to aching, you know. And I go out there and grab my weights and put it on that table, put it on my sprain a couple of times, and all the aching will go away. You know, you can just feel your arm, and you can tell your arm, you got that power, and you're ready to do something. It just aches. Like, hey, you need something to pull on, you need something to grab hold to, you know. And that's when you know when you got that power, you're ready to do something. Grab it and try to put it as hard as I can get it for it, I can get it on. You know, so when I would go to tournaments and guys, "Hey man, how you come in and you like you ain't worried about nothing?" I'm not worried about nothing, I know what I'm gonna do, you know. I never did get to the point where I was scared afraid I was gonna get beat. I said, "Hey, if you beat me, you just gonna encourage me to come back and go somewhere and work out and come back and tear butt up. That's all I'm gonna do, you know." But a lot of guys in my weight class, hands, they had big arms, but they didn't have no hands. They had the finger reach around each other when you grip over the guy. My finger was just about wrap a guy's hand up, and I had just like took control of his hand off the back. And I pulled a guy named Scott Norton. I mean, this guy was huge, and he's about 380. And I was like 180, 185, 190. I never did doubt myself or worry about beating him. I said, I'm not gonna get in there trying to beat the guy. I said, but I'm gonna give him a good pull. Because I had already won my weight class, and I had to pull super heavy and pull Scott Norton. And we gripped up and sat down in the cup. His hand was a lot smaller than mine. And when I gripped up here, I said, "Oh man," I said, "I got this guy in." You know, I thought he was gonna feel a lot powerful than he did because he's so big, you know. And I grabbed his hand, and he didn't have anything there. I didn't feel it. Wasn't no back pressure, wasn't no bone hard power there. Oh man, he threw. And I ain't look at him. I turned my head the other way, like just turned away from him, waiting for Steve Simon to say, "Hey, ready, 1, 2, go." And the minute he said ready, 1, 2, I was gone. Cause he's gonna say go right after 1, 2, like driving a car. I knew I could take this car in this curve because I had control of the wheel. A lot of guys asked me when I first started arm wrestling, "How did you get your arms like that?" You know. And I said, "I was born like that." "Oh, you were? I was born like this, you know." I've been out of the sport now for about since '92, the last championship I had, where I had a tough match with a guy, Cobra Rose, and little John Brezink Jr. Those two tough guys. At the last period of my arm wrestling days, I had two of the tough matches with guys that was kids when I started arm wrestling.
Well, Johnny Walker, Gentleman Johnny Walker's is arm wrestling. You know, in my eyes, when I came up, there weren't a lot of people of color in the sport. And I'd always hear these guys in the practice session. Now I'm 14, 15 years old, talking about the Iceman, Johnny Walker. And I saw him, and of course I identified with that. And he's the reason, one of the main reasons that I continued to pull. I'd go every week to those guys and get beat on because I wanted to be like Johnny Walker.
Cobra Rose he's sort of like a technician. If you ain't ready for somebody to do some little tricks with your hands, this hand jive stuff, Cobra Rose would do it to you. And he would beat most guys if they didn't have enough power to catch him in his trick, or he'd get out on your hand, man. He'll tear your arm off, you know. And I thought I was thinking I had a hold to his hand, and I was going to try to keep him from pulling out of my hand. But when we started, he just, like his hand just some kind of way freely got up on top of my finger. And I couldn't get this sucker off for nothing. And the only way I beat Cobra Rose that day, because I definitely wasn't going to lose to him. I said, I can't lose this joker. This joker he's not in my weight class. You know, this joker stepped up in my weight class, going to beat me. I said, I can't let him do this. So what I done, I couldn't get him off my hand, but he had my hands, he had my fingers. And I didn't even have a hold to anything. He was just yanking on my finger trying to get me to go, but he knew he didn't weigh enough to take my arm over. He didn't have enough lead in his butt to do it. And what I done, I just turned around sideways, kind of eased around, turned my whole body around sideways to the table. And he was still yanking on my arm, so I just flip-flopped my hands back and let him have my fingers, and I pulled him over with a broke back wrist, rolled him over, put him down to the pad with a broke back wrist, and pinned him. He was pulling on me, true enough. He was yanking my arm, but he didn't have enough lead to pull me over because he was lightweight, and he couldn't pull me over because I had too much body weight up on the table. That's why I used to come down here and work out like this at night, man. It's crazy. You know, just go out this table and just pull till my arm go to this, to just pump up so much. And this 50-pound dumbbell, I go to the gym, I get a little heavier weight than this sometimes. I do something like 4 or 5 reps, maybe 15 reps of this preacher curl like this. I just take the weight and toss it up and catch it. And that helps you by, if a guy jumps you and try to snatch your arm over, I can catch him. And by doing this weight like that, I had to catch 100 pounds in my arm, in my hand. I ain't done that in a long time. See that? Sometimes if you don't catch it right, you kind of snap yourself and you feel that little electricity shoot through your bones, you know? You know, sometimes you get to a certain point where you might feel a little arthritis get in your shoulders and your joints, you know, and it kind of shoot a little fire through your arms and through your joints, you know? So you know it's time to, sit down and leave this stuff alone, man, because it takes a lot of training, lots of working out to compete in arm wrestling. You just can't get into that sport, think you can just get up and beat somebody and no working out, no training with somebody. You can't do it. It's tough. I look back at it, I can't see how I done it working like I did. Kind of hit I had to stop doing it because if it had not been for arm wrestling, I don't think I would have got to go to the places I did go to, you know. It didn't cross my mind I ever go to Johannesburg, South Africa. And I've heard people talk about Japan, you know, I had no idea I would go to Japan. Brazil, never heard of Brazil. I didn't even know what Brazil was. So I had the opportunity to go to Brazil, you know, all the free trips, no money. I enjoyed it.
Back in Birmingham, I found out about a local tournament being held.
I'm Bob Staples. This is Spanky's. We're in Pelham, Alabama, and we do this arm wrestling twice a year. We've been holding these 5 years. It's been 5 years, and it's been 5 very good years. These people are friendly and understanding. You can see there's a big crowd inside. This is a very badly underrated sport. These people come from, we've got people here from Florida, Georgia, a couple of guys from Tennessee are here. The Arkansas contingent got snowed in. They couldn't get here, but we've got them from Louisiana also. So these people come from all over for this. It's an Alabama State Championship. They do state championships in Louisiana and Georgia, of course, and people who win there, because we have Alabama people who go to Louisiana and Georgia. But we're independent. We don't belong to any national association. For the last 5 years, we've had 2 a year, and this has been the standard turnout. I think we had 70 folks registered to compete, and of course they all bring their friends and family and whatever. So always a couple of new ones, but generally the same ones come back.
Ready, go!
Look at Paul! Paul! Okay, Glenn Brooks. Give him a big hand. Good job.
Hey, Phil! You got it, Paul!
All right.
Just the cooperation we've gotten from the media for just this one has helped a great deal, because I've got people in here that live in this area who are competing for the first time. They've just heard about it through the media and here, and of course what little advertising I can do out of the restaurant has helped them a lot.
Aubrey. Pull, 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 pull. Now lean in. Pull. Pull. This is all wrestling right here. Pull. Let's go. Pull it now. Oh, look at that. T-shirt.
Ready, go!
Pull, 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 pull. Pull. All right. Good battle.
Ready, go!
All right. Big go. Brian Lexington. Good job. Let's do Brian.
Go!
Oh.
It's a very strenuous sport, and it's going to take these guys a couple of 3 weeks, once they've been pulling as hard as they have, to get over the stress and the strain of it. So you can't have them but so often. But once every 3 months, I'd love it.
Whoa!
Yes, you're only using one arm. Well, that's not so. You're using your entire body. The mental and emotional stress, you've got to be prepared for.
If I get this, somebody's taking my wrist away from me, kind of like, I was kind of taking your wrist away from you.
By the way, I had a gentleman from Florida ask me a few minutes ago about
Ready, go! Walk to your seat.
All right.
Number one, they do get titles. Number two, they get trophies. We have found that if we don't give money, they keep their amateur status. I'd like to see more tournaments here in the Pelham area, the Birmingham metropolitan area. I'd like to see more tournaments. I would host any they'd let me host.
Whoa! Winner! We're gonna win this.
Ready, go!
Whoa, Jesse Gilman, good job. Now look at that.
Yeah, we got the Rally and Tally coming on. It's going to start Friday, April 19th. It's going to go through Sunday the 21st.
Let me just start by saying it's 4 minutes after 8. We're in the studio. It's the Morning Axe. Doc, our friend Paul Sutera is in here with us. And we're now joined by the legendary Cleve Dean, who I have just learned is actually a 100-time plus world title holder, world champion. I mean, please, if I make any mistake here, don't kill me. Just tell me. just tell me, and I'm
That's
happy to
close
correct
enough.
myself. Okay. Well, do you know the exact number on how many times you've been the champion?
Honestly, no, I don't.
You've lost count.
That's right.
After triple digits, you just forgot about it.
Well, you know, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I just kind of forgot a few of them,
But they're all
pretty
there.
close to right at 100 world titles.
It's pretty impressive. I call you a behemoth of a man, a giant, if you will. And I hope you don't get offended by that.
Not at all.
Okay.
My father and mother both had an unnatural strength, you know, for their size and stuff. It kind of run on both sides of my family. I stand at least 6'7", and I'm pushing 600 close.
How big are your forearms?
This way here, they're 21 inches. Jeez. When I first started, I weighed right at 300, and I was much more of a man then than I am now. I'm this big due to an injury that slowed me down tremendously. I used to be very fast, very agile, no way I could explain it to you. And then when I busted my back, then it was a slow digression to dealing with so much pain and stuff that of course the agility, you know, it left, and the ability to get around and do like I used to do. Yeah. Well, I started in December of '77. I think I was 25.
This great big giant of a man he had a heart just as big as he was. And he was one of the most powerful people I've ever seen. I've refereed him, I've watched him, obviously I've never had to fight him, but I've seen him time and time again. Just, you know, he had some big people just hit him hard, just hammer him. And he'd just sit there and absorb it, and he'd smile at him, and then boom, and he'd reach over and pat him on the head. There you go, boy, you did good, you know?
You just felt like a baby grabbing a hold of him, you know, he's just so big.
Cleve is one of the most blessed people for the sport. He's got the biggest hand I've ever seen.
Hand size is a definite plus, and no doubt about that. I mean, I never would lie to nobody about that and say that's not an advantage, because it is. It's an extreme advantage.
It's all I can do to reach around his thumb, just barely touch. He's massive. Biggest man I've ever seen. You could honestly take a silver dollar and put through his ring.
I've never seen anybody that could drop an actual $half, and I used to drop quarters through it. You know, I wear a size 15 on my pinky.
5-second challenge, basically. We're asking people to come on down here. Very expensive tickets. Yours for free. If you could last 5 seconds with Cleve Dean, and I want to see if I could last at least a second. Yeah, a second.
Ready, go.
Oh, jeez! Oh, jeez! Oh,
go.
I'll take that $1 back now.
It was over before it even started. I'll take. You know, guys, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I've never in my life felt like a little girl like I do right now. For real.
Biggest mistake you can ever do, if I don't already know you, is shake hands with me prior to a tournament. Because the moment I shake hands with you, I'm gonna automatically know where your strength is, and most likely what you're gonna do. And most arm wrestlers can with each other. Back when I first started, everything was new. Everybody was learning. You know, a few people knew a little bit of technique, but nobody knew anything totally dominating, you know, much less a combination of techniques. And nobody had trained over the years, you know, because nobody been doing it for years, you know.
You ain't even trying, are you?
Not yet.
All right, do what I'm doing. Oh, man.
I come into it when I guess you'd say arm wrestling was really being born. If anybody ever sees me push as hard as I can push, everybody else better just stand back. I would totally dominate the table, I'll guarantee you. This, right now, what I do, I can do any day and every day. I need something to happen to make me want to get that fired up again. I'd love for something to do it. What it's going to take, I don't know. Maybe it's seeing something different happen in the sport where I can help push it into something. So maybe it'll come around.
Have you ever tried to intimidate anybody?
I've done that now. Back in, I'm trying to think what year it was. Back, I believe 85, 84, 85, something like that. George Hood and I had come down in Petaluma, California. So we were the last two competitors in the super heavyweight class. And George had been having a good day. And of course I had to. It had been an easy day for me. And George came up to that table. I could see it when he came up to the table. He was so serious. Gosh, he had totally blanked everything else out. I mean, you could see it in him that he was just completely zoned as to what he was going to do. And he was standing at the table. And I walked up to that table, and I knew he wasn't even really seeing who he's going to arm wrestle. He was just focusing on what he was going to do. And I grabbed that table and I shook it so hard and I hollered just as loud as I could. And of course, him being in the zone like he was, he just come up off the floor about that high and totally lost it. Anybody in the room could have whipped him. It was over with right there. He cussed me for everything in the world. And laughed. Oh, I laughed at him. Because he just totally lost it, right? Hey, why he don't even put his arm up there then? He should have just said, you can have it. Retire entirely, no. I'll be involved in one way or the other, either coaching, refereeing, promoting, and arm wrestling too, because there is an over 40 division. I pull the over 40 division, even though I pull the overalls too. But so no, I don't think I ever will. Not entirely. I may stay out of a few years, but I'll always come back.
It's something I've never seen up close and personal. I've seen the movie Over the Top. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of the movie. However, I've never seen it this close up. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot in this sport. Now, here's another thing about that movie that I truly like that I've realized. Cleve, you're starting to look a little familiar to me. Were you in that movie? Were you?
Just briefly.
You were in the movie though, right?
Cameo appearances, yes.
Well, that's what happens when you're a 100-time world champion. You get to be in any movie you want, and I guess you chose the right one for arm wrestling.
It is something I truly love. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it just... One time I used to... That's all I lived for, one time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
Congratulations
It
to you
was
on all your
fun,
success.
man. Yeah, we enjoyed it. We sure did.
I hope you did. We enjoyed it too.
Take care of yourself, man.
Thank you.
Y'all be good.
No doubt.
Have a nice day.
Appreciate it.
Ready, go!
Go!
Yeah, he's tough. He's a tough one.
We're gonna have a arm wrestling tournament at the Rally and Tally. It's a big bike rally. It's got Cleves as our special guest feature. If everything really goes good this time, we're expecting to get an announcement that we can come back again.
How did you get started?
Steve Myers. He came over to my house one time. And it was a football game, and I always knew he was an arm wrestler. So just asked, show me that little thing that you know makes arm wrestlers good, man. And he quickly disposed my hand and threw my arm to the table, and I said, "That's not possible. I'm bigger and stronger than you. I don't see how that's going to happen." He says, "Well, there's a tournament coming up, man. Why don't you go to it?" And I've had the bug ever since.
Not only is this a great event for arm wrestling, it's for bikers as well, man. It's a bad boy Jesse Jane bikes, all chromed out. Over here, we got Jesse the Human Bomb. This guy's fixing to blow himself up. Wait for the boom. Jesse just blew himself up. There's an old saying we have out here in the South. Come on out beside the woodshed and get your whooping. Well, welcome to the woodshed, buddy. Arm wrestling. This will be a good match, y'all. There you go. There you go.
I decided to enter the rally and tally. I wanted to try my hand at arm wrestling.
We got Joshua down from Birmingham. Ready to go. Oh! There you go. Oh! Shot finish second, GNC. Ready you go. No, come on. Go. Let's go, King. Come on, King. Ready, go! Ready, go! Ready, go! Whoa! Got a top match! Got a top match! Oh! Winner, Steve!
Been over the shoulder farther away from your body. You turn.
Ready, go! Ready to go! Ready to go! We had a great turnout, man. Our first one here in 76 entries. Man, that was fun. This is something about putting on a tournament. You know, we're here at 7 o'clock in the morning getting everything set up. I'll probably be here for another hour or so because I'm liable and have to clean everything up for the next act that's coming through. So it's tiresome, man. If I'd arm wrestled, I'd probably be dead right now.
My name's RJ Molinaire. I'm from Houma, Louisiana. It's my heart. It's my soul. It's everything. I just love arm wrestling. It's hard work, but I just keep doing it. It just means everything to me. There ain't no big money in it, but it's just the people that you do it with. It's like a big family. Really, I'd like to see it go to the Olympics. A lot of people would just realize how a big family arm wrestling is. You have to be here to see. I don't think I've ever met an arm wrestler that had an attitude that, you know, he's all good-hearted people. And that's why I stay in arm wrestling, because of the people I know all around the world and that you're waiting to meet up with and talk to. And that's what keeps me into arm wrestling, I'll tell you the truth. And so I wish you would just go to the Olympics, that people would really enjoy it. You know, it's really a good sport. A lot of people look at arm wrestling like a ballroom arm wrestling. Until you see professional arm wrestling like we have here and like we have all over the world, once you go to one, I think you really enjoy it. It's not like arm wrestling you hear. You know, when you say arm wrestling is like two men in a bar, arm wrestling, no. This is professional, and it's all clean stuff. We got referees taking care of business. You get out of line, you're out of there. So I think, you know, it should go somewhere because people put their heart into arm wrestling. It's a lot of training, a lot of hard work, you know. So I think I'd love to see it go to the Olympics.
Undefeated, David Randall.
I mean, I'd love to see, to a point, big money and stuff get into it, but, you know, to me, I've always approached it as a hobby. You know, like that's what I try to tell people. It's been great for that because I love the camaraderie involved in it. That's what's kept me in the sport as much as the competition is going. You see how we sit here during a tournament and we have so many friends, guys you only see once a year sometimes, and we all remain close and good friends, and that's what's drawn me to the sport. So I kind of do it as a hobby more than professional. And yeah, of course, everybody'd love to win $1 million. Well, that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But 'cause I know the dedication it takes, the pain you go through. I admire anybody that's willing to do the sacrifice, win or lose, to get up here and compete. Because for every person competing, there's 10 that say, I could do this, but I don't get up here and compete. You know, that's what I try to tell people, whether you don't win a match or not, you got up here and tried it. There's a lot of people that wanted to try it that didn't have the guts to. And it's one of the few sports, you know, you'll get out here with a guy, you might beat him, he might beat you, and you'll go talk about what he did wrong. You don't see that in football. You don't see that in baseball. You don't see that in most sports.
Hi, my name's Bobby Hopkins. I'm from Fort Pierce, Florida. It's kind of neat that this is a sport that anybody can do at any age. It's something that you can become a national champion at any time in life. Anybody can do it. You can be a construction worker, you can be a dentist, you can be a doctor. You know, everybody has an arm. You just got to have a competitive spirit to work to become that what you want to be. Yeah, being a Christian, what I really do for this sport is because this opens doors for me to minister. When you're a world champion, it opens doors to speak to kids and young people and all adults, and I speak all over the world, sharing my Christian background and what's happened in my life. But right now, you know, everybody's pushing for it to get to the Olympics. You know, it's something that's probably been one of the oldest sports that's ever been around. In other countries, people get paid to do this sport. We do it recreation-wise, and so I'd like to see it get to where somebody can actually make a living doing this sport.
My name is Elaine Blick, and I'm from Aberdeen, Idaho. Well, I heard about a tournament, and I thought, yeah, that kind of sounds like fun, you know. I mean, it's like, who has never arm wrestled when they were a kid or whatever? And I thought, I want to do this because, you know, I was like pretty good when I was a kid and in high school and stuff. And so I just got into it in my first tournament. I ended up like second place, and the trophy was like 40 inches tall, and I was like, yes! I was 30 years old, so it was like really cool to win a trophy that big, you know? Arm wrestling to me, I think of it every day of my life. You know, every day of the week, I'm thinking either my next event or the next event that I'm putting on. It's a predominantly male sport, you know, but I think the women are better to watch. I do. I mean, sometimes I think women get more fierce in a bigger competition, you know. Everybody's answer, the cliche is, oh, let's go to the Olympics. Well, you know, I would love to see it go there, but there's so many more stepping stones before that, so you have to think in reality. And as far as seeing, you know, see it go somewhere, I'd like to just see it as like a sport that you can pick up on ESPN, like any day of the week, maybe, like, you know, basketball, soccer, anything like that. It'd be nice to just get it on television more than once in a great while. Let's see, the shirt I had on yesterday said, arm wrestling is life, the rest is just details. And I guess I can't say that really the way it is. Arm wrestling, it's probably number one. I mean, aside from family, of course, but for me, it's pretty much my life right now. Has been for 10 years.
We're trying to get this thing into the Olympics.
The American Armed Sport Association is the United States member affiliate for the World Armed Sport Federation.
They could put skateboarding, they could put off-the-wall things into the Olympics, and we're struggling to get this sport to the Olympics.
That's the reason that this thing didn't go into the Olympics already, is because of squabble among promoters. They kept telling the Olympic Committee, we're the ones you got to go with, we're the ones to do this, we're the ones that's right.
I'm not real sold on the Olympic thing. My theory is if you get the sport going and get it big, the Olympics will come looking for you. You know, you don't need to be going looking for the Olympics and trying to sell them on it. If you're doing your job and the sport is growing and they'll come knocking on your door.
That's what they said. They said you have a lack of organization. One thing, there was no drug testing done. Yeah, they didn't like that.
The only thing we are really lacking at this point is drug testing, and you have to have drug testing in place on minimum of 5 continents in order to be accepted into the Olympics. The major drawback in the drug testing is money. It's very expensive.
The thing is, they're totally wrong. Arm wrestling probably has the most organization of any sport there is.
I mean, over the top, Sylvester Stallone, how could that not help something, you know?
It helped in the fact that it went into everybody's homes, you know. and stuff like that. But it degraded the sport because it played too much on the machoism and too much on the weird side of things.
I guess it's kind of unfortunate that the director of Over the Top wasn't too, I don't know. I didn't really think much of the guy. You know, he tried to turn it into a pro wrestling match, and that's not what it is.
I mean, just like the guy that drank the motor oil and stuff like that. What was the use of putting him in the movie? I mean, what was the purpose except to make something weird? You know, everybody remembers that part. They may not remember nothing else, but they remember that guy drinking that motor oil. They couldn't tell you what he looked like. If he walked right up here to them right now, they couldn't tell you that was him. But they remember him drinking that motor oil.
I mean, there was a guy, his name was Bruce Way, and he's a real nice guy, and he's a good arm wrestler, you know. But he did stuff like that. He did stuff like that before Over the Top came around. But actually, in one of the Over the Top qualifiers, he took a real can of Valvoline motor oil, popped that puppy open, and chugged the whole quart down, threw it on the ground. This was out in L.A. I walked over to it, picked it up, and it was oil and empty. Then he lit up a cigar about this long, puffed a big old cherry on that sucker, and ate it with no hands, fire and all. He got in the movie.
And the guy does it for real. Yeah, he really does it. That's his show right there. But what's that got to do with arm wrestling?
People didn't really see arm wrestling for what arm wrestling is. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys been to a tournament. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I mean, it's pretty intense competition.
Why play on that side of arm wrestling? Why not play on the fact that it was a family thing? I mean, it was about a family. So why not play on the fact that it was a family sport? Instead of making it look like it was for a bunch of macho bullies gonna run over everybody and everything else. That's what I hated about it. And some people didn't see it that way, but I did, and a lot of arm wrestlers did too.
But that's not what arm wrestling's all about, you know. It's serious guys, you know. It's a serious sport. I mean, so many people, you know, you just train every day for it. I mean, that's what they live to do, arm wrestling, just like, you know, Michael Jordan does basketball or Tiger Woods does golf. It'd be nice to make as much money in arm wrestling as Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan makes, but maybe that'll come one day.
Yeah, wrist wrestling. Wrist wrestling started in Petaluma 51 years ago.
Wrist wrestling was another championship that you had to get used to doing because it's different than arm wrestling. It was different. Everybody thought arm wrestling, wrist wrestling were the same, but it's not.
Wrist wrestling, which is the way it all started, was you would grip your left hand of your opponent in the center of the table, and you would grip your opponent's right hand over the top of the table, and you were in an elbow cup. And that's all there was. There was no other, and there was an awful lot of back and forth, and the guys that really knew how to do it, they'd get their hand there and they'd pull it back, or if they were going this way and they'd pull like this, and there was a lot of stuff going on.
You got the L shape. You got to hold your opponent's hand in the center of the table right here like that. You put your arm here like that. And then your arm has got to be completely down on the table before you pin your opponent to the table. It can't be up, it's got to be down. And you got to keep your fist in the center of the table. You got to fight with this arm and this arm.
I like to wrist wrestle better. Just the style, it kind of works with my technique, the way I like to roll, and with the shucking with the left hand, it just seems to work well for me.
And then there was some kind of political competition, and some people wanted to get involved in it, and the wrist wrestling guys weren't so sure they wanted to do that, so these other people said, well, we'll start our own, we'll call it arm wrestling, and so there's where you had a division. And essentially the only difference between the two sports at the time was the peg out here on the left.
The wrist wrestling, it changed, I want to say probably 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, it's way less popular. It used to be pretty popular, but then it kind of went away.
From the referee's perspective especially, it is so much easier to referee a fight when that left hand is isolated. That's out of the way, because it used to be a big problem.
Now wrist wrestling is far and few between, unless you're in a bar.
All right, man. Match. Ready, go. Winner.
Whenever I'm going to wrestle somebody in a tournament, I either know the person and have watched them arm wrestle before, or that day I've watched them arm wrestle. And based on that, I've already decided what I'm going to do. when they get to the table.
I think everybody, when they go to the table, they have an idea what they want to do, what their strengths are, and they're hoping their opponent's going to do something that's to their advantage. But it's every match is a little bit different.
Well, I just want to figure out how they want to pull me. If they want to come inside, which is fine with me. As long as I know, then I can, do exactly what I want to do. I just don't like being surprised.
When you get up there and you get your grip, you can do all the thinking you want before a match, but normally once you get up on there and you get locked up and you hear the ready, everything kind of just, you're going off of instinct.
Yeah, sometimes I might trick the guy out. You think I'm going just straight in, and I might pull up like this here, over, just drop straight back over, yank him over like that,
And use that first minute of gripping up to find out what they want to do. If you get up to the table and somebody grips you and they're doing this, you have a pretty good idea how they want to pull you.
Pretty much working on the technique. That's what I think. If you ask most arm wrestlers, I specialize in control and technique. It's about breaking down opponents' weaknesses and trying to make the match as easy as possible for you, like a chess match.
Sometimes I'll kind of limp hand them and make them think they're stronger than me. Tighten up with them a little bit and let them tighten up and let them turn my hand over or something. In my experience, if you let them do it a little bit, they'll say, okay, well, he thinks he's got an advantage on me. And then right at the ready, that's when I'll tighten up and actually hit him.
If you can take a man's hand away from him, then he can't pull very much, so.
I don't want to get up there and be going, okay, am I going to try to take this guy inside? Am I going to try to take him outside? Am I going to try to shoulder roll him when the referee is saying ready? Because if you do that, you're going to get caught. You can get beat real quick.
Guys have a much stronger arm than me, but if I could take their hand, they couldn't beat me.
If you're fast and get the matches over with quick, you're going to be much better on later in the tournament. If you're showing off and showing that you can stop everybody and take them down nice and slow, it looks great, but by the end of the day, you might get in trouble.
They're just both pulling back real hard, and right there, both of their wrists kind of turned out just from the pressure that was put on there. And then once you're at this point, you start fighting with your fingers because you want to be on top. Like right now, Bill just got the advantage because now I can't get my index finger back over top of his hand. And if he can hang on right there, he'll win. Or you'll see this, and then all of a sudden you'll see that all the time.
Right. The competition's so good. Sometimes it's just a matter, did you get the right jump? Did this happen? But any of those guys may turn around and beat you the next time you pull. So you can't discount anybody. There's people that are considered in the elite class, but I don't really look at it that way. I'm worried about anybody that size that has the desire to get on that table.
Oh, yeah. That's my whole thing. I try to make you as uncomfortable as you can get, and then I let you know that I did that to you. Definitely, I'm a big intimidator, or try. But I tell you, I don't think I intimidate too many people. I try, but they just get madder. But when they get mad, they make mistakes. And that's when I usually win.
He's right there. Ready, go! Big dog, baby! Ready, go!
There's one thing I can say negative about arm wrestling, and it's only one thing. And it's only happened in I would say, the most recent 5 years, is there's too much involvement with the referees.
I think refereeing is probably the hardest job. I'll let you get it on this one, but I think it's the hardest job in arm wrestling, and I think they do it to the best of their ability.
And I also think the referees are way too critical on like elbow fouls. If a guy's wrestling and he pulls me like this and my elbow maybe bobs a little bit, but I don't gain an advantage, that really shouldn't be something that stops the competition. The competition should keep on running. I know when I'm refereeing, if I see a guy's elbow bob, if he goes like this and he gains an advantage, that's a foul. If he goes like this and, there's no change in position, tell him, watch your elbow. And I'll let the match keep going.
Well, the refereeing is probably the most thankless job in the world. You've got everybody that watches sometimes think they can do it better. I mean, you got to realize you're making a split-second call. I mean, you may referee 300 matches a tournament, and you got to make a split-second call every match. I mean, you're going to blow a call every once in a while.
Let's go! Right there.
Number one, to complain about a call, I would say more than half of the time is, yes, it's your excuse. You're going to complain about the call because the only other option you have is to say, yes, the man on the other side of the table beat you. It's very easy for people to complain.
I think more and more of the arm wrestlers realize that you're going to blow a call. You may get a bad break one day, but you'll get, next time around, it may turn out, you may get a good break. You know, it's just part of it.
There we go! What? The elbow came up. Thank you.
Arm wrestling is kind of a tough sport because everybody wants to get a good grip, you know? So there's a lot of fighting going on. I think the referees over the years have just got disgusted with dealing with the arm wrestlers, you know? So they've become very hard on us.
If you notice, the majority of the people, they don't complain. They take their win or they take their loss, and that's it. And yes, referees do make mistakes. They're human beings. And when you factor in that human element, you're going to have mistakes happen. So some complaints can be legitimate.
All the competitors, even the audience, they want to see people wrestle. They don't want to see people win on fouls or lose on fouls. Every time it happens, you get everybody's booing, and you know, it's bad for the sport.
Foul! Winner! You move! Get his hand down! You put your hand down! You move! Oh, shit! You move! I didn't set your hand. You set your own hand. You're in the referee's grip.
You know, of course, I guess the referees can argue was bad for the sport too, to sit up there and have the guys fighting for a position, you know. Maybe that's true in the early rounds, but once you get in the finals of a competition, nobody wants to see a national or world championship decided on a foul.
One more hit, Chuck. I need this time.
See, this isn't right either. You always start with winners.
Yeah, I should start there.
Yes. Those are
displayed for you. Okay, so we'll see those tomorrow. And with that said and done, if you have any questions with anything, feel free to go ahead.
Withdraw my number. Woody.
Table number 3, Cup Lee.
You can do it. Come on. Clap that hand and drop it. Let it go. Hey! All right, keep it on. There you go. Come on, kid. Good back. Good back. There you go. Come on, Jerry, don't play. There you go. There you go. There you go. The loser is eliminated. Ready to go.
There you go. Stroud, Gerald Campbell.
Ready to go. Matt. Ready to go. 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 Understood, Junior. Good work.
My name is Robert R. Wilson. I'm from Sharon, Pennsylvania, and I'm representing Uncle Bob's Self Storage, and I'm very proud to be here. I've been doing this for almost 6 years. I have cerebral palsy. I was born with it. My biggest goal is to represent people with disabilities, do the best I can, and show people that people with disabilities can do things too.
So don't bring it up. Waiting for that message to keep moving. Sometimes
Having cerebral palsy, this basically keeps me out of a wheelchair, and I enjoy doing it. So even if I don't get a trophy, winning means everything to me because it's like the cure. So in a way, I'm fine. It feels like I'm being cured by winning.
is this the wrong way to go? Looking for a sign to get off this road.
I started an organization of my own called the Bomb Squad, and I'm recruiting people with disabilities because I believe that I can help them get better at arm wrestling. And I met a couple here that just are amazing. You know, William Saunders, I believe his name is. I mean, that's the first time I ever saw somebody wrestle in a wheelchair, you know, and it just, you know, filled my heart with love, man. Just seeing somebody else do it, because it's like, you know, a lot of people, one of the misconceptions about people with disabilities, they can't do nothing. They can't do anything. So I basically do this to show people that even though I can't walk that well or do things, that this is what I can do and this is what I enjoy. And I'm hoping that I can inspire other people with disabilities to continue. And I do like seeing other people with disabilities do it because it shows me that I'm not the only one out there that has this. You know, Bob Stanger from Greenville, he started me out. You know, we didn't know if I could do it or not because I used to be like this. And he says, well, let's see what we can do about that arm. You know what I mean? So he worked with me in the garage for about 2 years. And he's like, I looked over and I saw our national title. I said, where'd you get that? He's like, well, I arm wrestle. And I said, I'd like to try it. So he says, well, let's work. I'll take you down. My very first tournament was a state tournament. It was in Perry, Ohio. And I did very well. I got second in the state tournament. And that day that I got second, 1996, I knew that arm wrestling was my dream. And basically, I've just been doing it to show people that if you have a disability, don't let it get you down. You can do something with your life. And if I can do it, you can do it. I always try my hardest, and I do my best. And so therefore, I believe in my heart that I can get a trophy today or a plaque or whatever. I gotta concentrate. I gotta not let things bother me, you know, and I just gotta remember who I am. You know, if you have faith in God and believe in yourself, you'll be able to make a difference. So I hope I do well, and I hope that you're proud of how I do. Okay? I'll wrestle hard for you. Thank you.
Restless, I'm still here singing in the distance, and it's kicking me. Ready, go! So don't bring it up. I'm waiting for that message to keep moving, 'cause I'm dying here. You're gonna have to break me, and I know you can.
Ready, go!
This particular tournament is our 5th year in Reno, Nevada. It's called the Reno Reunion 5 International Championships at the Sands Regency Casino Hotel here in Reno, Nevada. I've been promoting for the last 12 years. Didn't get serious about it until the last 6 years when we incorporated Armwrestling Promotions, and we do about 12 tournaments a year right now. People can show up off the street. The only thing that's invitational is for out of state or out of country. So anybody and everybody. So we've got it from the beginner to the professional. A lot of the arm wrestlers have a tight relationship. While they're off the table, they're best friends. While they're on the table, they're enemies. So you get the best of both worlds, especially if there's money on the table. You know, the public, the people that I'm associated with and people that I deal with, they like the extreme sport.
Ready, go. Match!
Ready, go.
Come on, guys, get on. Don't get low.
And Bryce Keckler. Bryce Keckler and Steven, and
Ready, go! There you go, Mike, right there! Stay there, Mike! Let him get behind him. Yeah, stay there, Mike! Pull him out, guys, back out! Hey, guys, pull him back out, Mike! Put your hand over behind him. Throw your hand over, Mike. There you go, get him spread out, baby. Get him spread out. Yeah.
Oh, the guy that hurt his arm, you know, that was actually a break arm. Out of the 15 years I've been promoting, that's the first break arm we ever had.
There you go. Lock it in. Shoulder in. Shoulder up. Shoulder up.
And the guy wasn't in bad position. It's just one of them freak breaks that happens every once in a while. The guy was straight up. It was a spiral break across the bicep. The guy was straight up. And a break arm position is when you get your shoulder in front of your hand this way. He was straight up like this, and he just pulled sideways, and it ended up breaking right there.
Go!
Win, Devin, Jared Cash.
Match!
It's hard to be perfect on making calls, so we see stuff that guys down on the ground floor doesn't see. And with the exception of a couple arm wrestlers getting a little excited and the referees getting a little bit more excited, it just intensifies the tournament a little bit, but I think we got it under control.
Go! Wow! Match! Go! Match!
Hello, Bill Rhodes came back and done it.
Go! 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 Match!
Dig! Come on, guys, dig! Jack's first loss.
You drop it down, Mike.
That's fine. Table number 2.
Winner! Go! Come on, Matt!
Table. Brian Weaver, you get a bye this round. Scott Nelson and Joshua Tubbs, you're on deck.
With one tournament and 2 losses under my belt, I decided to give it another go.
You guys on the table.
Yeah! Go!
I guess my adrenaline was pumping because I accidentally arm wrestled the wrong guy, a heavyweight.
I need Ryan Weaver and Joshua Tubbs.
So here we are, my chance to win. But the outcome was still the same. After losing 3 matches, I still got a medal. Sweet.
John Brzezinski is the best of the best. John Brzezinski is, how do you put a definition on Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods? Compare the same. He's one of a kind.
John Brzezinski, in my mind, my opinion, the years I've been doing this, and I've watched a lot of really, really super competitors, hands down the best there's ever been.
Just an amazing guy in terms of arm wrestling. He's a super nice guy, too.
He's quiet, he's soft-spoken, he doesn't waste his energy. doing a lot of jumping around, eating frogs and fish and slapping crickets down his throat and stuff like that.
I started arm wrestling because my dad did it. I learned how to arm wrestle just from going to big competitions and arm wrestling the best there. And my strength and my expertise comes from competing, throughout the country.
I mean, he's not a giant. He's very well muscled. He's put together, but he's got some kind of a genetic predisposition to be able to kick people's butts when it comes to this sport.
John, I'd have to say between him and Dave Patton are the two best that's ever been.
I don't know. I wish if I knew how he was able to do what he does, I'd be doing a lot better myself.
I think because I started at an early age. I started when I was 12, 13 years old, and I think that had a little bit to do with it. But then again, a lot of it's also genetics. I mean, my brother excels in it, and my dad excelled in it. So.
Zeke had something over on me on the start. I'm gonna tell you, I never could get over that. They could get to him.
Well, he was my idol, my goal. Next to my dad, probably the driving force for me to excel in the sport of arm wrestling. He was the larger-than-life person that I wanted to defeat.
I used to beat him all the time while he was younger. The more I pulled him, I could feel him. He had been working out. He had been training to get me. And I said, one day he's going to beat me. And I knew that was coming, so there wasn't no doubt in my mind.
Well, I've trained with almost everybody. That's the key to becoming a good arm wrestler is being diversified in arm wrestling. And trained with the best flyweight in the world at the time, Dave Patton, for about 6 months. When I first started arm wrestling, he was very instrumental in being the arm wrestler that I am.
He's just unbelievably strong. I mean, he looks like Clark Kent, but there's a lot of power behind that arm he's got.
I looked up to Dave as much as I looked up to Johnny Walker. I don't have any claims of extraordinary feats of strength. Yeah, my strength is so specific to the sport of arm wrestling, it isn't even funny. I mean, people would probably laugh at what I could lift. And, they ask me, what you can curl and bench. I mean, it's strength stuff. I'm pretty pathetic. I don't know. Some people, I guess, get a little bit discouraged from competing in it or trying to pursue it because they end up going to a tournament and then getting humiliated by someone that's been arm wrestling for a while and they give up on it. And arm wrestling is something you definitely have to spend some time doing and competing. I mean, it's a pretty much a secret society of good arm wrestlers. I'd say there's probably 500 to 1,000 arm wrestlers in the United States and Canada. It just really isn't a whole lot. And arm wrestlers develop an ungodly strength that most the public will never acquire. I mean, yeah, I know I have a reputation to uphold. I know people are always, they're gunning for me to beat me. I don't feel the pressure anymore. I guess I used to. Go! I'm almost to the point, actually, to be honest with you, where I'm waiting for somebody to come and take the throne, so to speak, to whip my butt so I can retire. It's been my whole life. I mean, it's consumed my whole life, I guess. When I'm not thinking about work most of my spare time I'm thinking about arm wrestling, and it's obviously had an effect on who I am. In a good way, though. I think probably some people think it's a little corny, but I grew up doing it, and it's like I said, it's been my life, and it's been exciting, and it's been fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Heading home, I thought about all the incredible people we had met while making this documentary. Arm wrestling is a great sport. However, it is sad that these legendary athletes are only known in the arm wrestling world. Maybe that will change one day. Back in the South, I found out about another local tournament being held in Birmingham. I decided to make it my last stop. At the tournament, we saw a lot of familiar faces and some new ones as well. I finally understood what they had all been telling me about the friendships and camaraderie associated with arm wrestling. With all of my experiences in this sport, I decided to step up to the table one last time.
My wheels turn. Rode on way back to where I'm from, what I have done. Remembering the angels through hard times, help me walk their lines. I watch that moon glow, felt the signs, changing times, and I won't ever scratch what was said. Times like this, I wish would never end. Got me all lit up and crying out the same. My